Now from your Olympic station, News Channel 5.
Good evening, everyone. This is a News Channel 5 update.
We'll get you back to the Olympics in just a moment, but first, a look at today's top stories. A train accident this morning in South St. Louis left 2 people with minor injuries. A westbound Amtrak train slammed into an 18-wheeler carrying shingles near Manchester and Macklin. The Amtrak train had 12 passengers and a crew of 5 on board. Eyewitnesses say the warning lights and bells were working when the truck entered the railroad crossing, which is not protected by crossing gates. Police say the truck driver was ticketed for failing to yield to the train. Union Pacific owns the tracks along there, and a spokesman says this is the first accident at that site since 1997.
Election Day may be 6 weeks away, but don't tell that to the candidates in the Missouri governor's race. So far, the campaign has been one for gentlemen, but that could all change after tonight, the first of 3 debates.
I'm Alex Fees in Cape Girardeau. Tonight, candidates for Missouri Governor Jim Talent and Bob Holden square off in their first debate.
Congressman, if it's the right thing to do, why haven't you got it done in Washington, D.C.?
If this is the right thing for state government to do, why wasn't it doing it throughout the 90s when we were saving Medicare and fighting to save Social Security and you were rolling in the taxpayers' dough?
Highlights from the debate between candidates for Missouri Governor from the campus of Southeast Missouri State University after the Olympics on News Channel 5.
A new report by the Missouri State Auditor, Claire McCaskill, shows that state domestic violence shelters are not getting the money they're owed. The audit shows that in 1998, shelters failed to receive nearly $1 million in court-ordered payments. The money either wasn't collected, it was put into the wrong accounts, or the collecting agencies didn't follow proper procedure.
Well, it looks like one of St. Louis's biggest sports stars will test the open market.
Sports director Mike Bush joins us with the story of a blue who stands to make some green come next summer.
Karen and Dan, sooner or later, Chris Pronger will become one of the NHL's highest paid players. He announced today it will have to be later. Pronger called a news conference to announce he and the Blues are done with contract talks until the end of the season. The league MVP has a year left on his current deal before becoming a Group 2 free agent, meaning the Blues would have the right to match any offer he receives. Pronger said he chose to end the talks now so he won't be distracted during the season. And good news, an MRI reveals Marshall Faulk has no structural damage on his right knee, and Faulk should be able to play against the Chargers this coming Sunday. More sports coming up after the Olympics.
All right, Mike, thank you very much.
Sure.
Well, it seems like we skipped fall completely, went straight to winter today.
Meteorologist Cindy Pressler is next with your Doppler 5 forecast. We'll be right back.
You're watching St. Louis's Olympic station. This is a News Channel 5 late edition.
It's more mad. I couldn't believe it would ever happen again. Just after that other explosion, I just didn't ever think it'd happen again.
Tonight, a former fireworks company worker speaks out, claiming poor training and publicized federal inspections put workers' lives in danger. That is our top story. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Twice in 10 months, deadly explosions rocked Pyro Products Incorporated.
And state and federal investigators will be back in Jefferson County this week, probing last week's fatal blast and deciding what, if any, penalties the company should face. Deanne Lane talked with a former employee tonight who is hoping that her speaking out will prevent another tragedy. Deanne?
Karen and Dan, Carol Gillespie worked at Pyro Products for 6 years. She left this summer at the urging of her family, but she still has many safety concerns. One of the safety features Pyro Products installed following last November's explosion is a so-called day box to store explosives. Ironically, investigators now say last Thursday's explosion started in a day box.
It's not whether it makes you feel safe, it's whether it is safe or it isn't safe.
Safety concerns have been haunting Carol Gillespie since Thursday's fatal accident. She claims while the owners of the facility worked hard to protect employees, supervisors were often lackadaisical in enforcing company policy and procedure, and some employees were not adequately trained.
They have, I think, like a couple-hour little safety thing, and then it's up to the supervisors. It's kind of like a hands-on training.
And while some believe Pyro's license should be revoked, Gillespie disagrees and instead urges agencies like OSHA and ATF to work closer with employees.
We did always know they were coming around, and we were all guilty of if we had a little too much in our building, and I guess we would empty out the building of maybe something that wasn't little too much explosives that were in there. I think under the circumstances now, maybe more surprise inspections. And actually, the last few years, ATF didn't really come into the work buildings. They used to come in and we were only allowed a certain weight amount. And they used to come in and they'd walk around and see it. But the last few years, they wouldn't even come into the buildings.
We were unable to get a comment tonight from Pyro Products Incorporated. Sherlyn Ribble, in the meantime, who was taken to St. John's Mercy Medical Center after the explosion, remains hospitalized in satisfactory condition. Pearl Matthews was buried today. Dan?
Okay, thanks, Deanne. An Amtrak train collided today with a tractor-trailer truck in South St. Louis. The accident happened on Manchester, just east of Mackland. It caused 2 injuries, neither serious. The trucks did scatter its load of shingles. The train had to back its way to downtown St. Louis, where its 12 passengers boarded a bus to Kansas City.
I heard the horn, then I felt the truck jerk. Then I just saw the back part of the truck just fly by on the right side of the train.
And the truck driver was issued a ticket for not yielding to railroad warnings.
3 area police officers killed or injured on the job were remembered today. The St. John Police Department and the Left Bank Restaurant raised more than $5,500 for the officers and their families. They presented checks this afternoon to the Robert Stanzi and Thomas Henry funds and to Berkeley officer Antoine Easterwood.
Hearings are underway this week to determine whether a man accused of shooting up the St. Louis County Courthouse is competent to stand trial. Now, this isn't the first competency hearing for 60-year-old Kenneth Baumrock. Once before, he was found not competent to face first-degree murder charges stemming from this 1992 incident. As a judge was preparing to finalize his divorce, Baumrock opened fire, fatally killing his wife and wounding 8 other people. Tomorrow, the Missouri Humane Society in St. Louis expects to get official custody of dozens of abused animals that were transported there from Reynolds County. The dog's owner had until today to post a $21,000 bond to cover the cost of pet care. That didn't happen. Now, Humane Society workers can begin preparing the animals for adoption.
Tonight in Cape Girardeau, Republican Jim Talent and Democrat Bob Holden squared off in the first of 3 gubernatorial debates. News Channel 5's Alex Fees was there.
In a race marked so far by complicated positions on prescription drug plans and education, the first topic cuts through the policy clutter.
Partial birth abortions.
I'll sign a bill banning partial birth abortions willingly and eagerly. I believe that unborn children are people.
I oppose partial birth abortions also, but I also believe it's a right of a woman and their doctor to make that decision for themselves.
The 2 major party candidates then get into their policy positions on topics including education and highway funding.
The supportive vouchers do not help our public school funding mechanism to make sure we keep the funding there. I've had as part of my plan that I want to have $70 million set aside in my school reform package to hire more teachers, to reduce class sizes.
But the kids in persistently failing systems in St. Louis and Kansas City deserve an education too. And you know something else? The taxpayers deserve a return on the investment that they've been sending into those schools.
If there was one of those defining moments that people like to see in a debate like this, it came during a discussion of health care and prescription drug costs.
Congressman, if it's the right thing to do, why haven't you got it done in Washington, D.C.?
If this is the right thing for state government to do, why wasn't it doing it throughout the 90s when we were saving Medicare and fighting to save Social Security and you were rolling in the taxpayers' dough?
Talent and Holden have agreed to 2 more debates. In Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Alex Fees, News Channel 5.
Major party candidates Talent and Holden were the only candidates for governor invited to take part in the debate.
Hard knocks for the Hard Rock, but tonight the owners believe they have a solution to the restaurant's woes. Starting next month, the rock and roll restaurant Hard Rock Cafe chain will feature less merchandise and more rock and roll, real rock and roll. Each of the 103 Hard Rock cafes, including the one at St. Louis's Union Station, will expand their hours and open up a live music stage to feature evening performances.
Kelly Suttle was a long jump champ in high school, but that is not the sport that took her to Sydney.
You know, as you coach someone like that, you think you had a little piece of that, and I was very, very proud of her.
Next in Cover Story, we'll meet a local athlete who's literally raising the bar on women's athletics.
And the man who critically injured horror author Stephen King meets a fate strangely like a King novel.
Today's cloudy skies, cool temps, and rain made for a nasty Monday. But we really did need that 1.6 inches of rain that fell. All this moisture will help give us a colorful fall. The next few days, looks like it's going to be dry. I'll have that forecast coming up.
Coming up tomorrow on News Channel 5's Today in St. Louis.
Good evening, I'm Kelly Jackson. With all the pressure on children to be thin, eating disorders are a common problem among teens. Do you know the signs if your child is dealing with an eating disorder? Tomorrow at 6, family therapist Joan Peterson joins us with some advice. And at 6:30 in our Financial Solutions segment, tips on what to do when a 2-paycheck family becomes one.
That and more on News Channel 5 beginning at 5 a.m.
Are poor safety standards to blame for a deadly fireworks company accident?
A former employee makes disturbing accusations against Pyro Products, the scene of 2 deadly explosions in 1 year.
And an important step in the road to recovery for dozens of neglected dogs in the care of the Missouri Humane Society in St. Louis.
Kurt Warner, now a part of the News Channel 5 sports team.
Romania's crown jewel athlete lost her gold today in Sydney. Andreea Radicon tested positive for a banned stimulant. Her team doctor reportedly gave her cold medicine, which contained pseudoephedrine. The doctor has been expelled from the Games through 2002. Radicon is the first Olympic gymnast to be stripped of a medal for drug violations. On a more positive note, there are some other firsts at the Olympic Games.
Among them, women's pole vaulting. As News Channel 5's Kelly Jackson reports in our cover story, it is the first Olympics for the women's pole vaulting event and the first Olympics for a local athlete, Kelly Suttle.
And now, twice he's pole vaulting. It's a sport most often associated with men. But if St. Peter's native Kelly Suttle has her way, women will soon leap to new levels in the sport.
She started here as a long jumper. She had a gymnastics background, and with that background, the long jump was a perfect event for her.
Suttle first excelled in track at Francis Howell High School.
We didn't ask her to pole vault back then because girls weren't pole vaulting, but she would pretty much do just about anything, be in any relay, any open sprint race. She really liked a long jump, though.
Francis Howell has a long history of turning out top athletes. And her junior year, Suttle settled for nothing less than state champion.
She became a good long jumper. Her first year was her sophomore year. And as a junior, she progressed to the point where she was one of the best in the St. Louis area.
Suttle went on to college as a long jumper, but it was pole vaulting that would catapult her to the Olympics. It all started 5 years ago when pole vaulter Jeff Hartwig, who also graduated from Francis Howell, convinced Coach Earl Bell to give Suttle a shot at the sport.
I believe she went almost 8 foot the first day she was at it, which is pretty good, and it was a natural progression from there.
Suttle trains in Jonesboro, Arkansas, along with fellow pole vaulter and boyfriend Chad Harding.
It's really cool. It's a fun thing. I mean, it's really fun to watch her compete in the sport that, you know, I've spent the better half of my life trying to get good at, too.
Like I said, Kelly would try just about anything if she thought it would help the team.
It's that winning attitude and a lot of hard work that helped Suttle make it to Sydney.
I got a card from her about a week ago, and she's just excited to be there and having the time of her life.
Despite her success, Suttle's never forgotten the people at Francis Howell or the coaches who put her on the right track.
She comes back, she visits the school, the kids think she's wonderful, the boys think she's great because she's a beautiful young lady, and she just is a neat person to be around.
I've kept up with her, you know, looking her up on the internet and reading about her in the newspaper, and I cut out everything, but I guess the Olympics has to be the utmost honor that someone could have, and I'm just so proud of her.
Kelly Jackson, News Channel 5, cover story.
Suttle made it to tonight's finals. She finished 11th in the competition. Suttle's teammate, Stacy Dragila, captured the gold by pole vaulting 15 feet 1 inch. Way to go, Stacy.
Boy, the women are making a statement here with the pole vaulting for the Olympics, aren't they? Well, Cindy's got a statement to make for us tonight. Some maybe warmer temperatures coming in tomorrow?
Yes, tonight's going to be cold, though. Do you have your furnace on?
Probably need it.
You might want to. I got a call from Olin Chaplin down in Crystal City. He said, oh yeah, his furnace is going because his temperature's already down to 38 degrees.
Wow.
We're going to probably be close to frosty conditions by tomorrow morning, so let's get to it. Take a look at a gorgeous time lapse from this evening. Did you know sun is setting now at 6:53 in the evening? Clouds moved out of here. We had beautiful clear skies and all that nastiness that we had to deal with for most of the day. It is gone now, but as these clear skies move in, the winds calm down, drier air moves in. That's why our temperatures are going to be very chilly tonight. The rain has drifted and rotated its way out of here. That center of low pressure has now moved off to the east. But look at all this nice rain that we picked up. About 3/4 of an inch at Rolla, 1.37 inches at St. Charles, Farmington, 6/10 of an inch. But St. Louis, in the last 24 hours, 1.5 inches. And we certainly did need it, although for the month of September, we're doing quite well. So far, 2.62 inches. The average for right now would be 2.63, so we're only slightly below average. I'd put that just about right on the nose where we should be. So the color of this fall should be just fantastic. Winds have calmed down now, about 5 miles per hour coming out of the west, and it's that calm wind that also aids the temperatures dropping. 44 degrees at Chesterfield, Farmington 43 degrees, 40 in Rolla right now. Alton reports 48 degrees, and everyone under clear skies, as well as Lambert, 46 degrees. KSDK, a little bit warmer downtown, 48. Humidity 89%. That air will continue to dry out overnight. The dew point 43 degrees. Pressure is rising. We have a west wind at only 5 miles per hour. High today, only 54 degrees. We should be at 77. Low is the current temperature right now at 46 degrees and 1.16 inches of rain. That is today as of midnight. 41 degrees should be our low tonight. However, the low-lying areas will drop down into the mid-30s, so there could be some frost, especially the central and south central portion of Missouri. 69 degrees your high tomorrow. Nothing but sunshine. High pressure coming in from the north. Another cold front starts approaching, but you know what? That thing's going to wash out. It will not pass through the St. Louis area, so our temperatures will be down just a little bit and then pop back up again. Overnight tonight, some fog could form. 69 degrees your high tomorrow with a west wind at 5 to 10. Extended forecast will keep us nice and dry for the next 5 days. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies. Temperatures in the 60s to 70s. Very comfortable for this time of the year, so this is one to get out and enjoy.
Yeah,
Will be. Thanks, Cindy. Well, it is a bizarre and deadly tale involving novelist Stephen King, but this story is not from the pages of a book. Remember last year when King was hit by a van and critically injured? The 43-year-old man behind the wheel of that van died over the weekend at his home in Maine. No sign of injury, no sign of foul play. An autopsy was inconclusive. The driver had received a suspended six-month sentence for causing the accident.
Contract talks between the Blues and their captain have come to a halt. Mike is in next with details.
That's right, Dan, and wait till you hear what former Blue Brett Hull has to say on the subject. Plus, the San Francisco 49ers had something to say today about the antics of one of their players Sunday. It's all coming up after the break.